special city council meeting. All council members are present and join in the room, and joining us online we have Council Member Heyer. If you'd like to say hello.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for indulging me virtually.
Awesome. We'll begin with the a Pledge of Allegiance, and Vice Chair White, if you'll lead us in that.
Please rise if you are able and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll take a minute here to observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, first up we have a few acknowledgements. We'll invite Fernando Morales, the Community Engagement and Opportunity Commission Chair, to come up and present the first one.
Good evening, esteemed members of the council. It's always nice to be with you today, and didn't get the memo about the uniform, but you look great. Well, in honor of the Homeless Awareness Month, I would like to present an organization making a huge difference here in Ogden City for the council to recognize. Family Promise of Ogden utilizes local partnerships between the city and the county to change lives. Family Promise of Ogden has been here since 2015 as a response to the direct need of homeless families and to develop a cost-effective and community-based approach to ending homelessness in the county. An interfaith coalition comprised of kind-hearted volunteers collaborated to develop a non-sectarian plan to support homeless families and provide them with safe overnight shelter, assist them in regaining self-sufficiency and sustaining their independence. Family Promise of Ogden makes this possible with the support of organizations and partnerships that addresses family homelessness right here in our community. They do not receive funding from national organizations, the state of government entities. In 2016, the coalition received its 501c3 nonprofit status for Family Promise of Ogden, and finally, in May 2017, Family Promise of Ogden was able to house its first family. Today, Family Promise of Ogden continues to grow, supported by the strong volunteer force. Approximately 2/3 of the budget comes from community members, cash and in-kind donations. Additionally, the church host and the board members give generously to the cause. They work hard and with determination. They believe that every child deserves a home. The program's two components, shelter and self-sufficiency, create a more comprehensive approach to genuine independence, which both addresses families' immediate needs and provides a plan for achieving lasting freedom for the homeless. So with that, I would like to present to you this award that you can give it to Family Promise of Ogden.
Thank you. All right. That's good. Let's give a clap here.
Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Do you want anybody else to join you?
Yeah. Our fellow commission members are here.
Yeah, or anyone with family promise.
Good side.
Yeah.
One looking here. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
We're gonna do another picture.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, let's start.
We love this. That's okay.
We don't mind standing up for a
Yeah.
minute.
looking here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please say something.
Thank you.
I want to thank each one of you on behalf of Family Promise. We truly believe that every child deserves a home, and we are determined to end homelessness. We are a resourceful bunch, and we not only provide shelter for families, but we help them address the reason that they became homeless. We teach them. We're not handing out fishes, we're teaching them how to fish, and we have great success. We heal them with hope. So thank you very much for recognizing us. I appreciate it.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Well done.
Yep. All right. The next acknowledgement, Councilmember Heyer and I had the opportunity to attend the Mother of the Year luncheon a couple Saturdays ago. I don't know, Councilmember Heyer, if you wanted to share any thoughts on that?
It was a great event. Things as I'm virtual, I think I'm going to let you do all the talking.
Okay, sounds great. So Wendy Ellis, a longtime Ogden City resident and community member, as well as business owner in the area, she was recognized. Also happens to be my aunt, so Aunt Wendy, Aunt Wendy and Uncle Ralph. So it was a great opportunity to be there. We had the opportunity to hear from some of her kids, and they shared about her and her role and influence. I just want to read real quick the recognition that was shared. And it just says, in recognition of her efforts as mother and grandmother, Wendy was honored as Mother of the Year for Ogden City by the Utah chapter of American Mothers. Wendy grew up in Idaho on a small dairy farm with her parents and 11 siblings. After marrying her husband Ralph, they moved to Ogden, where Wendy became a key part of their family business, the Ellis Planing Mill, managing the company's finances as a bookkeeper for over 40 years. Together, Wendy and Ralph have been blessed with 7 children and 18 grandchildren. Wendy has devoted her life to serving others. She served a church mission in Australia in 1974 and has since held numerous leadership and service roles within her congregation. Her community involvement includes scouting, the Parent-Teacher Association, sponsoring a decade-long recycling program at local elementary school, and over 19 years as a hospice respite volunteer. For the past 3 years, Wendy has served as the director of the Community Resource Center for the My Hometown Ogden initiative, witnessing firsthand how neighbors and volunteers can transform the lives and improve neighborhoods. Wendy's dedication to being a loving mother and grandmother is at the heart of everything she does. Her ability to balance family life with service has strengthened her household and positively impacted the broader community. And so it was just a great opportunity to share that. So. All right. Any other acknowledgements from the council?
Chair, I have one, if not. So I wanted to acknowledge one of our fellow council members. It's very hard, because you see us up here often, and I just want to acknowledge Councilmember Chaburka for being a woman in the arena and doing the fine work. She did a lot of work. She did a lot of touch points. She did a lot of talking. She went out to the communities, because that's the true character of Angela Chaburka. She wants to know and understand what's going on in the community. And I'm just so proud that you ran a great campaign, and even though it wasn't quite what you had expected or wanted, I guess, maybe. I'm glad to know that you're still going to be representing Ogden and doing the fine work here. So I just wanted to acknowledge that it's not really easy to get out there and be in the arena. And so thank you for doing that. And thanks for being you.
Councilmember Myers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just like to acknowledge the Mayor's Arts Award, which took place last week. And it was superbly done by our Arts Commission. The recipients were impressive, and I was most impressed by the recipients and the sacrifice that they make of not having high-income jobs, but just doing and living according to their passions, and bringing this amazing culture to Ogden of arts and the importance of arts into this community. And particularly, Onstage Ogden was recognized for the organization for their service over the past 75 years, which they brought a lot of culture and arts and performance to Ogden. It was just an outstanding evening. Kudos to Ogden City, kudos to Union Station for the way that the event was carried out, and the Arts Commission did a phenomenal job.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And thank you for mentioning that. I failed to recognize Mayor Dodolsky is at a National League of Cities and Towns meeting, so we excuse him from this meeting. But of course, Mayor, we're glad to have you here with us as well. Okay. I didn't know if you were reaching for your mic there, Dave.
Nope.
You're good. Okay. All right. So with that, we'll move on to the next section. We have approval of minutes from our closed session, September 17th, joint work session of September 18th, and joint work session of October 1st. Councilmember Graff.
Chair, I've reviewed the minutes for those meetings, and to the best of my recollection, they are accurate.
Okay, and our regular meeting of October 1st, 2024, Councilmember Chaburka.
Yes, Chair, I've reviewed those minutes and they're accurate to my recollection. I also just gave the recorder a couple of notes about a couple misspellings of people's names, but those are going to be corrected.
All righty, and then finally, the field trip of October 8th, joint work session of October 8th, and field trip of October 15th.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to report that I reviewed those minutes and find the field trip minutes of October 8th, the joint work session of October 8th, and the field trip of October 15th to be correct to the best of my knowledge, and I would like to make a motion that we approve these minutes.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Myers and a second by Councilmember Graff to approve the minutes. This is the voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, that passes unanimous. Okay. Next up, we have a recognition, and that will be done. That will turn the time to Councilmember Bart Blair on the Honorary Mayor of Christmas Village.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair Ritchie. This is a fun
I'm
one.
just feeling the moment.
I will say, this is my 15th Christmas Village Honorary Mayor, and we decided to wear our sweatshirts on this day pretty close to 15 years ago, and it looks like we're trying to add a new tradition today. So brace yourselves. Yeah, this is an exciting one for me. I have known Rick Lovell literally most of my life. In fact, when I was telling my mom that Rick was going to be the honorary mayor, she referred to him as Little Rick Lovell. So that's how long I've known Rick. The proclamation reads, the proclamation declaring November 30th, 2024 as Rick Lovell Day in Ogden City. And it reads, whereas Rick Lovell was born and raised in Ogden and has proudly called Ogden home ever since. He grew up on 24th Street and has lived in 6 different homes throughout the city. In 1992, Rick graduated from Ogden High School and later earned a bachelor's degree in technical sales from Weber State University. Alongside his wife, Nicole, Rick is the proud father of 3 children and the grandfather of 1 granddaughter. And whereas Rick has been with Young Automotive Group for 25 years. He began his career at Avis Car Sales in 1999, where he spent several years before moving up the ranks in management. He then spent 5 years as a general manager at Young Ford in Morgan. Currently, Rick serves as a general manager at the Buick GMC store in Layton. And whereas Rick has a strong desire to serve others. Throughout his career and throughout his life, he has been actively involved in various youth programs. Currently, he serves on the board for the Young Caring for Our Young Foundation. This foundation focuses on addressing youth issues such as clothing, hunger, literacy, and teen homelessness by providing children with essential resources for their future development and success. And whereas Christmas Village has been a cherished part of Rick's life and a beloved family tradition, he has fond memories of the cold nights spent volunteering at the village store with his mother, Nikki Lovell, who portrayed Mrs. Claus for several years. I'm curious how much of it was volunteering or being told you were going to be there. Each year, both his wife and his mother showcase their cottages at Christmas Village. And whereas we are grateful for the opportunity to highlight Rick's invaluable contributions and unwavering service, his dedication and willingness to help others exemplify his commitment to making Ogden a better place. Rick's remarkable efforts and passion continue to inspire and strengthen our community. Now therefore be it resolved that the Ogden City Council and Mayor Benjamin K. Nadolski, hereby proclaim November 30th, 2024 as Rick Lovell Day in Ogden City and declare him the honorary mayor of Christmas Village for 2024. We express our sincere gratitude for his contributions to our community and encourage everyone to join us in honoring Rick by visiting and enjoying Ogden's Christmas Village. And with that, I will make a motion that we adopt this joint proclamation.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Blair and a second by Councilmember Graff to adopt this resolution. This is a voice vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, that passes unanimously.
And it's an honor that I get to present this to Rick.
Come on up, Rick.
Congratulations and thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Rick, do you want to bring your mom and your wife up? We'll take a picture.
Hey, Nikki.
Little Ricky.
Yeah, a little. I was going to say that. I just didn't dare because he's bigger than me now. Yeah, yeah. And then we'll do one with the committee too. Let's do one with his family and then we'll.
All right, everyone looking here. 1, 2, 3. You know, if we want to get the.
Let's get the committee members up.
Come on up. We might as well all be together.
Yeah.
Yes, we're all dressed alike.
Yeah. Oh, which is cool. The mayor, Mrs. Claus.
Yes, there's somebody else with a
Yeah.
Oh, she'd be dazzled in a sweatshirt. Look at
Yeah.
that. Yeah, somebody did a little crafting on their hoodie.
Very pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Inspirational.
All gonna want an upgrade.
Yeah.
You know, right?
Justin,
I
what's
need
wrong
to
with
be
yours?
dazzled.
You couldn't do that? Yeah.
You can be in the picture if you want.
Look in here. Here we go. Perfect. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2. Whoop. All right. 1, 2, 3. There we go.
That didn't sound good. Whoop. Okay.
Rick, if you want to say something.
No.
Are you sure?
I want to say thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all for your service.
All right.
A little chilly.
Wait till you see me in the golf cart.
Next time we should get the heater.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's gonna be good. Well,
You have to put Marcia in charge of those.
Yeah,
She has good ones.
thank you for being here. I think this might be a good opportunity also to thank the city, the folks that have been putting out the lights. They've been working on it for a long time. The housing, the cottages are coming out, so I know there's a lot of work and efforts to do that. So thank you, Justin. I'm sure from you down, there's a long list of folks, and Monty, thank you for all the work for getting the lights out and everything. So it's exciting. We can't wait till the Saturday after Thanksgiving. We're gonna fire that up and kick off the season. So, all right. Next up, we have a consent item for the Ogden City Arts Committee appointments. Do you have a motion?
If I
Chair,
can read it.
no,
Oh,
sorry, Chair, I'll motion to approve those.
Second.
All right. That was, who was?
That was quick.
Councilmember.
first.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Chiverka, second by Councilmember Blair to adopt the consent items. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes unanimous. And we will now bring up Barton Brierly, our planning director, to talk to us about the proposed rezone at 139 North Wall Avenue.
Good evening, Chair Ritchie and City Councilors. This is a request for a zone change on Wall Avenue next to the Fenway Fields subdivision. The applicant, Craig Butters, is here. Thinking. There we go. So this is properties at 139 North Wall Avenue. It's currently zoned R16. It's about a half acre. This shows the location of the property adjacent to the Fenway Fields townhome development. The site is the vacant site that you see in between. On the left is the Fenway Fields development, and on the right are single-family homes. This shows the character of the Fenway Fields townhomes. They're intentionally designed with sort of low roof styles and brick to fit in with the neighborhood. The subject property is actually part of the Fenway Fields subdivision. It's 2 lots that have access off the internal roads from Fenway Fields. It was required to be part of the subdivision because the access comes from the internal private road in Fenway Fields. So this is a request for a zone change. It's not a request for site plan or any specific development proposal. The reason that the applicants asked for a conditional overlay and a development agreement is, and the staff has agreed and the planning commission has agreed, is to limit the zone change to specific uses. So specifically, they would like to do a parking garage to add more parking for the Fenway Fields development. There are two lots, and they put 1 single-family home on each lot. So the idea of doing the development agreement and the conditional overlay was to limit it to that uses so that people wouldn't think it would be rezoned to allow more townhomes or apartments on the particular property. That being said, the development agreement is not a site plan review. It's not approving a specific layout of the home or the garage or even this specific use. It could be other uses that are supportive of the Fenway Fields development. So for example, if they decided that they wanted to do a playground there, they could do that would support the Fenway Fields development. So this is just a concept of what it could look like, not what it's bound to look like. So the concept plan would be 2 single-family homes, which would match the style of Fenway Fields with the same sort of low-pitch roof and same brick. If they do a garage there, one of the requirements would be a brick along the base, so it would match the style in Fenway Fields. So some of the things that we're required to look at, the council just recently adopted a change to the Lynn Community Plan that requires us to consider the history of an area when doing a zone change and perhaps do some measures to recognize the history of the area. This particular property was part of the Bingham Fort, one of the original settlements in the area. And but on this particular property, there's nothing that we know of that really remains from the fort. There's no artifacts or structures or anything from that. And the developer, Fenway Fields, did work with the Weber County Heritage and did do a very nice monument at the corner to recognize the history of the area. And so the Planning Commission's recommendation, staff recommendation is they've done their part to recognize the history of the area with that monument. Another requirement is that any zoning consideration will be conditional overlay zoning with development agreement to ensure design and use compatibility and character of the area. And compatibility considerations shall include but not limited to single-story buildings, pitched roofs, brick or atlas brick as primary exterior material. So the development agreement reflects those sort of elements. And one of the questions that the council had was on ownership. Now the Fenway Fields, each of those units is platted so that it could be individually owned. And this addition of the two lots, they are separated lots. So you could have a single family home on each one independently owned. And one of the questions was, the council brought up, should we make a requirement that they be platted for individual ownership? And the way it's laid out, the front lot could be independently owned. The back lot, while they could put a single family home and a parking garage, it would be kind of inconvenient to have someone buy a house and a parking garage with garages for each of the units in Fenway Fields. But they could plat that as what we call a footprint lot and just sell off the home and have the parking garage be common area, which is the same sort of situation as the rest of the Fenway Field. In talking with the developer, with their ownership model now, he is intending to keep them all, at least for now, under single ownership. The existing Fenway Fields, even though it's platted for separate ownership, is one of the developments that it's all under one ownership now. The developer has, once he starts selling them off, then it triggers a creation of a homeowners association and some homeowners association dues and some other things that would kick into place for that. So his model right now is to keep them all under one ownership. But that's not to say that that couldn't change in the future, and at some future time he may want to sell them all off. So the proposed development agreement doesn't require that they be that back single family home be platted, but the council could request that be added. Another discussion the council had was on the garage location, and again, this is not a site plan, but it's just a concept that the concept would be the parking garage be in the back, and council discussed possibly bringing that up to the front, something like that. That could be done. It would require adjustment to the lot layout in order to do that. It'd also bring the parking garage to be the most visible feature of the development rather than a single family home. So that has different visual impacts to the property. So require replatting, could require some access for the frontage for the rear lot would be a challenge under that scenario, and it could require some additional exceptions. And like I said, the garage would be more prominent that way. There's also council discussion about the architecture of the garage, and I'll note again that this was just a concept. This is not, you're not approving this particular garage design, but this is a concept of what it could look like. The development agreement just says that any garage shall be rear-loaded, two-car garage, and have brick veneer covering the wall areas of the ground floor. Exterior walls shall match as close as practical to that in Fenway Field subdivision. So if you want to make a specific requirement for garage architecture, you could add that to the development or request that be added to the development agreement. Also, there's some discussion about would the use of the garage be limited to being accessory to the Fenway Field subdivision, or could they, rent that out to anybody for storage or anything? The development agreement does say that it has to be associated with the Fenway Field subdivision. So renting them out just as storage units to anyone would be prohibited under the development agreement. So the Planning Commission has recommended that you approve the zone change, subject to a few conditions. For example, that they would need to do a site plan later, that the single-family dwellings match the Fenway Fields and the requirements for the brick along the garage, and a requirement for fencing around the development. Those would be all included in the proposed development agreement. And again, if council wishes to ask for additional changes to the development agreement, you can make that motion, and it would have to be continued to make those changes. So that includes staff report.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Barton at this point? We do have the petitioner here, but we also are accepting public input on this item. So maybe we'll go to the public input first, and then
Chair.
Oh, yes.
While you have Barton, just a quick question about whether or not the single-family home with the required easements are going to allow access to the rear of that lot on the west for those garages. It just looks like it would be a real challenge and maybe even impossible. So I just want to make sure that the planning has looked at the required setbacks and to see if that'll actually work.
Thank you. Yes, it looks quite possible. Again, we don't have a dimension site plan, but yes, it does appear to be quite possible to do it generally as the concept plan shows.
So a couple of questions. So I understand the reasoning for not moving the, I think it's a better place to put it as far as the garages in the front, just if that's what it's going to access, and then allow people to be able to do something in the back with two single-family dwellings or whatever that looks like. But there's two, I guess my question is who, at this point it's fine because it's the developer that's owning the land and taking the liability. But what if I guess I don't know quite where I'm going with this. Whose liability is it if that they decide to sell that parcel and something happens to the garages, they catch on fire? Is that the reasoning why you thought that this changing the lot or subdividing that lot would be better? Is that what was your reasoning for doing that?
So if
Sorry, that was you would think it was Friday the way
nope,
that came out.
I understood just fine. Thank you. So the garage would be part of the homeowners association's responsibility to care for. So they would be responsible to maintain it, to insure it. If it burns down, they're responsible for any of those sort of costs, and it would be their insurance that would pay for it. So that's why, that's one of the reasons we required that these lots be actually incorporated into the homeowners association.
Okay. All right. Let's, if that's okay, let's go with some public input on this, and then we'll gather those questions and try to answer those at the end of that time period. So if you have a comment to make on this item, please come to the podium and state your name for the recorder, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. We'll have him after that, yeah, and then we'll.
Oh, Bob Gibney, Fluent Irrigation. I address 152 West 2nd. We've got a ditch running alongside here, and they're mentioning a fence right where the garage and everything is. For the slope, original Mr. Sean Strong development tore the fence up. They never put it back up.
I think he's working on getting it up, yeah.
Yeah, and if I can get Mr. Brightly here to pull up the garage scene and the two houses. Okay, see where it says road?
Yeah.
Right below it is where the ditch runs, and it goes over in through Baldwin's place. Uh, And right there at the corner where the blue mark is, where they're going to make a curve on the intersection, that's where I've got a head gate and I need a gate. But I don't know, it says fence on the things, and I don't know if the fence they're talking about is replacing the one there, because with the slope of the property and everything, as anybody knows, you park a car, you don't get it geared right, run, it'll roll. It might come down into the, used to be Lyman Anderson's property, then it was Shelley Hart, now it is Brendan and Dana Peterson property. And then you've got, the guys out of St. George next to it, at the west side. Okay, you've got the condominiums, then you've got the road, then you've got Peterson's, and then you've got, I can't remember the guys' names there next to it, and then you got Baldwin's. But right from there, from Peterson's into, what the heck's his name? But anyway, it goes right over to the fence line at Baldwin's. And I'd like to know if they're replacing that fence, because I did see a comment on one of the signs that said fence. And we need access into that head gate right there and everything. So you need to, you know how cars roll.
certainly.
we don't need them down the ditch. Okay, that's my only comment on the thing.
Thanks, Bob.
I don't know if Peterson's have a comment or not, but
Yeah. So we'll
I-
gather the public comments and then try to answer all those. So if you'll, we'll see if we can get an answer to that.
All right then, because Brightly might be able to tell you. I don't.
Sure.
have any idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Brandon. Any other comments? And if you're online, you can raise your hand, or *6 or *9. One of those will get you in there.
I have one, Laura
Yes.
Lewis. It looked like in the drawing that garage was just actually a garage, not any kind of parking terrace or anything. And so I'm guessing there's height limitations there to prevent that, to keep it at a reasonable height, since it is in kind of a historical area in a neighborhood. That's my only question.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other comments? Okay, if not, well, let's go ahead and invite our petitioner, Craig, up. Is there anything you'd like to share? And if there's any answers to the questions that were brought up, you're welcome to do that, and we can bring up Barton for.
Yes, and thank you for having me and letting me talk about this project. Just a little bit about it is, when I bought this project, my intention was to buy it as a long-term investment. I needed to do some fund transfers, and that's what I did with it, and I put it into my 3 daughters' names. So it's not going to be sold. It's not going off piece by piece. I own and control the HOA, and everything's already set into motion to make that happen. Along with this project came this piece of property that had lots of weeds, lots of trees. It was just an eyesore and fire hazard and everything else. So as we tore that thing down, we had to decide what we could do with it. We knew, we didn't know for sure, but pretty sure that there was going to be no townhomes built in there and no, high-density housing. So we didn't really care about that. So we went in there and we worked really hard to figure out what we could do with UDOT, how we could get an access to it. You have to have frontage. When you start playing with lots, like in the back, like, you wanted to mention, you have to have frontage on those roads to do that. And you have to get that all specially approved by the council, by the mayor, and everything else. This was a huge year-long project just to get it subdivided into the 2 lots that are there right now. And so that got put into place to where it would work. And we're going, all the people, as they start renting these places, are commenting, hey, we don't have a whole lot of parking here. Is there anything we can do? Is there any, reserved parking when my family comes? Right now, it's just Wall Avenue. And so they can only be there from the north entrance to where the deceleration lane starts. So you can put maybe 3 or 4 cars in there. And there was a motorhome in there for the last couple of weeks. I think they were camping. I don't know what they were doing, but they finally have left. But we have nowhere to put the people. The project was approved with no extra parking. I mean, the only thing there is the 2 in the driveway and the garage. That's it. So I'm not sure I like that because I think you gotta have places for people to park a few other vehicles. And so as I was getting the pressure from the people down there, we decided after we got the lots done, that maybe we could take this, because we had the lots all done, we were ready to go. Well, maybe we could put some parking in there, and then Joe told me that you can't do it unless you rezone. So that's when we started the rezone process and went through what we've gone through now for another 7-8 months. And another problem with switching those garages to the front, it's gonna change the look of what you're looking when you're driving down Wall and you see the houses all lined up, the fence in front. You know, everything's gonna change in that. And then you have to extend your fire hydrants, your fire protection. You have a problem with sewer drainage. There is no sewer slope that will get you from the back of that lot out of there. So now you've got, are you gonna allow pumps? You know, if we start moving the houses around on those lots, it's gonna really, really mess up what's going on and probably take it to a cost point that we'll just stop. We won't do that. We'll just build the 2 houses and we'll just have a weed field in the back. I don't know how to change anything that dramatic to make it work. With Bob, how you doing, Bob? I've worked with him on the ditch out there. I see the problems. I know what's going on. When I look at the plat, it looks to me like that ditch is on the other property piece, not mine. It's on the other side of the fence. That fence, according to what we're looking at here, is going to be rebuilt with a vinyl 6-foot fence. So there would be a fence going down that side.
You got took on that.
Yeah, they made a mess of it. But we're gonna get it back together because I work a mile away from this place. I live in Pleasant View. This is a thing that is just my little project that I want to make sure goes without a hitch. And I think when I was looking at the survey marks, Bob, I think that ditch has wandered over to my side because there's a survey pin right in the very center of the ditch further down that we're gonna have to figure out what we gotta do. We have to, you know, if we have to straighten the line back out, get the ditch where it belongs, whatever it takes so we get our fence in there. Right now, the fence is gonna walk right down the center of the ditch that Bob's gonna have to clean out. And I'm not sure where your access is supposed to be for clean out, but if he needs an access to get to that you know, his gate, you know, that will still be pretty much wide open because that fence will come back to where that gate will be there and the fence will be on right next to it. So there's not gonna be an issue getting to his gate. I would never do that. And so I'll work with Bob on that if he has any problems with that. You know, that shouldn't be an issue at all. So that's kind of the layout and the dream of what I'm trying to build down there, you know, and get it done. But until we get the final engineering done and we get approval for me to even go to the people to draw the plans to see what houses we can fit. Like there was a concern about if we get the road in there. Well, I was hoping to put 2 exact same copies of the 3-bedroom homes on there. If that doesn't work and there is a problem with that, I can put a 2-bedroom home there, you know, instead of a 3-bedroom on the back side. They're gonna be built with the same plans, same architect that designed the entire subdivision. So they'll just be a flip copy of what's already there. And that way I'm not having to reinvent, you know, plans and drawings and stuff. But it looks to us, when we measured it out, it looks like the 3 can fit, plus the road. You know, it's just kind of an alley. It doesn't have to be a 2-lane highway or anything. It just has to be enough to access people to get in and out of there. We don't really know how many will fit in there because we gotta deal with the detention ponds. And so once we find the engineering on how much water is going into the pond, how big the pond's gonna be, right now it's 40 feet by 60 feet. So by the time we start changing, you know, maybe the depth, the slope, the width, underground baffles, you know, it's gonna take quite a bit to figure that out, you know, but I didn't really want to go there until I knew that I actually had a feasible plan that was gonna work. But really I get along pretty good with all the neighbors. Any of them that ever had anything or needed anything, you know, I talk to them, go down, look at it, let them cut their tree down, drop them on my property, whatever they want to do to, you know, get it out, you know, because them big trees, a bunch of them just dropped them onto the property, cut them off and took them out so they didn't have to go through their house. So I get along well with the people down there, but, you know, that's kind of my dream of what we're doing. You know, do you have any questions on it?
Any questions for Craig? Okay, doesn't look like it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Barton, if do you want to come up and address the building height concern or question for the garages? And I assume there's probably heights on the single-family homes as well.
Yes, so the single family, in this case, it's required to have that pitched roof and be the same height as the Fenway Fields, which is actually less than the maximum height in the zone, which would be, well, if you went out full R3, it'd be 50 feet, but with this, it's required to be the same height as the Fenway Fields, which is more like 25 or so.
Okay.
And the garage can't be more than 80% of the height of the single-family home, so it's going to be even shorter than that.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion on the council? Questions, comments? If there's nothing, we can go with a motion on this.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve ordinance 2024-31 to rezone a property at 139 North Wall Avenue.
Second.
All right, we have a motion. We have a motion by Councilmember Myers and a second by Councilmember Blair to adopt proposed resolution or proposed ordinance 2024-31, and this is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair?
Aye.
Councilmember Chaburka?
Aye.
Councilmember Graff?
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer?
Aye.
Councilmember Myers?
Aye.
Vice Chair White?
Aye.
Chair Ritchie?
Aye. All right, that passes. Okay. Next up, we have report from administration. Justin Anderson, our Executive Director of Public Services, here to talk to us about a proposed interlocal agreement post-closure care permit at 910 West 21st Street. Welcome, Justin.
Yes, thank you, Chair Ritchie, members of the council. First off, I just want to thank you for recognizing the public service personnel that spend countless hours working on this municipal block to make us have such a festive holiday. And Councilmember Graff, you're already into festiveness tonight, and so they work really hard to make everything beautiful, to have a great kickoff, on the 30th this year. So, and you all look very festive and great in your hoodies. So, thank you for this opportunity. This is to inform the council of the Molding and Sons landfill post-closure care permit responsibilities, as well as look for approval of the interlocal agreement with West Haven City. So back in 2008, the site is what we refer to as the Molding and Sons landfill that was at 910 West 21st Street, and it was closed in 2008. And at that time, Mr. Molding submitted paperwork and everything to the state to go into post-closure care, and actually fulfilled many things, actually everything he was required to go into post-closure care, such as making sure the top had the proper amount of fill placed on it. So it was over 2 feet of fill with the top 6 inches being topsoil, making sure all the vegetative seeding was properly done, and the site hasn't moved. So when he did that, he gave the property to both Ogden City and West Haven. Now the dividing line matched the city boundary line. And so of that site, approximately 82% went to Ogden City, and the remainder, 18%, is in West Haven. And so this is the post-closure care permit is to update the permit to show us as the owners, and there's some responsibilities that we have in operating the post-closure care of this site. So we have gone through and updated and this is updating all the required paperwork and working with the state. It's the Department of Environmental Quality and the Division of Waste Management and Radiation Control, or WMRIC for short. And this includes inspections, reporting, and maintenance. Now, this maintenance can go possibly up to 30 years. However, we don't believe that that's going to go that long. In fact, we feel like once we get all the proper paperwork filled out, that we can go through, and we've already set survey points on the site where we will be going and surveying quarterly to be able to show the state that the site has not had any settlement, that it is ready to be able to submit for termination. And that's our intent in approximately a year, though that decision on when it's going to be accepted is up to the director of the DEQ. And so, in going through the post-closure plan, we have worked with West Haven City, and the interlocal agreement basically spells out that the state wanted one entity to be able to be responsible to them on the post-closure care plan. And since we owned basically 80% of the property, they asked us to take the lead agency. The interlocal agreement spells out that with West Haven, that anything that they are responsible for within their property, they are going to be required to either do the work of reporting, or if it gets left undone, that if Ogden City has to do it, it spells out what they would be required to pay us to do those services. Most of the costs associated with this really are in kind with personnel costs, going out, monitoring, doing the reports, doing the surveying, and such. So that really sums up what we're doing. Part of the closure, we had to identify with the closure what the potential uses could be when we get to termination, and we have to do that now. So we've actually worked with the state and West Haven to go through, and we have tried to label every potential use we could on this property. Now, this is zoned O1 in Ogden City, but the use, we have to identify whether it's a recreation use, and we had to be rather specific. So in that post-closure care plan for the termination, we've identified anything that could possibly be used for, and we've been very specific on that. So, and then we will look to actually request the state in a year. We're going to go forward and request termination.
All right, any questions for Justin? What would be your expectation of the state's response in a year? Do you feel like that's a...
You know, I actually think since really the site was properly capped, and there's been inspections ever since 2008 on the site, and it's always remained properly vegetated. They haven't seen any erosion on the site. So I think within a year or two, we will be able to get termination.
Would you keep us posted on that, Justin, when termination is granted? Would you keep us in the loop on that?
Yes, absolutely. And I believe once we receive termination, we still monitor the site ongoing for so many years, for at least a couple of years. It might be up to 5 years. I can't remember. Okay. So,
okay,
you bet.
All right. Any other discussion? If not, we can look at a motion on this resolution.
Chair, I make a motion that we adopt proposed resolution 2024-13.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Chaburka and a second by Councilmember Graff to adopt proposed resolution 2024-13, and this is also a roll call vote.
Councilmember Chaburka?
Aye.
Councilmember Graff?
Yes.
Councilmember Heyer?
Aye.
Councilmember Myers?
Aye.
Councilmember Blair?
Aye.
Vice Chair White?
Aye.
Chair Ritchie?
Aye, and that passes. Thank you. Okay, at this point, we would like to open the meeting for public comments. So if you're here to address the council on any issue, you're welcome to step to the podium, and please state your name for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Hey guys, haven't seen you in a while. Heath Sato, Ogden resident. You guys covered a lot in the work session today, and what I have time to cover today was the Lotus Riverwalk Phase 3 land transfer and development agreement. I really do like that master plan. I think there were great questions from Councilmember Graff and Councilmember White on that. I'm disappointed, as always, to see there's a rush to close the deal. I appreciate Councilmember White for bringing that issue up, and that we're still seeing a lot of pressure to rush into major deals. I, too, am disappointed to see that. I also had a question about who did the appraisal on the land. I ask because we've had issues with appraisals in the past that weren't even appraisals at all. So I'm getting a bit of a deja vu vibe on this. In 2018, in the Standard, our former CED director, Brandon Cooper, said about this plan that the city's initial plan figured the Beehive storage facility would be relocated, but recent talks with the ownership there indicate that won't be happening. I think it's going to be a fact that Beehive storage isn't going anywhere, he said. Now, that storage facility is a significant part of the land included that in that plan, and I was curious if there's been any movement on that since 2018. And that finally brings me to the other issue I brought to the mayor and the council's attention via email recently. That's the push to double the campaign donation limits. In my emails to all of you, I showed research that shows higher donation limits only benefit incumbent politicians and not the general welfare of the community. I'm not saying there's any relationship here, but the developer in this deal we're talking about donated the maximum to the mayor's campaign last year. And so I'm not saying any deals are made, but these huge donations do erode trust in our government. I do hope you'll consider actually having the donation limits instead of doubling them. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Laura Lewis again. I have lots of questions, but we'll kind of focus on a couple of them. In your conversation tonight, you talked about the transition of the property over on 18th and Washington by the River Bridge, and that was appraised for $250, I believe is what the number was. And I asked several months ago who did that appraisal, and was there more than one appraisal on that property? Because if you appraise that with that building that was on there, that seems very, very low for that appraisal. Then if I understand correctly, you did receive payment of $250,000, but then you took $190,000 of that to buy back UDOT property, is that correct? And I'd just like to understand your appraisal process, because it seems like it's really vague, and I'm never able to get an answer. And I think there should be a documented process on how you do appraisals, and there should be more than one person doing an appraisal anytime you're giving away property like that. Then one of my other questions was going back in time a little bit. About a year ago, we were all fighting over the Wildlife Resource Center. And there was a big push to get them out of there and knock down that building, because the dinosaur park had big plans for that space. As of today, there is nothing there. So I feel like there's something not on the up and up here. What is happening? Why isn't that moving forward? Why aren't we seeing plans? Who's the person I need to talk to find out what the delay is? Are there plans? And what is the future? Were we led astray with the reason for the destruction of that property and dislocating a nonprofit that was what most of the public felt should stay there and was very beneficial? So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Hello, council members. My name's Adam Jensen. Just want to get in touch with you guys, with this gentleman here who said about how fast we're moving on this redevelopment for the land swap with Lotus. I'm just kind of curious where all this information's come from. Oh, sorry, I'm a little nervous. For the money equal value for land swap.
Mhm.
I just think there's some concerns there. Why are we moving so fast? I'm just kind of more worried about what's going to happen. I know you guys didn't want any condos in there and all that, or just regular condos, but you guys, they want to do apartments. So you're more worried about them moving so fast. I'm just kind of curious about it. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're fine.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I'm just kind of worried about everything just going in such a rush.
Okay.
We need to slow things down, communicate with everybody around there. Because, I mean, I'm getting tired of all these apartments going up. It's turning into a chaos in our Ogden City development.
Mhm.
And that's about all I got to say.
Sounds
Thank
good. Thanks, Adam.
Hello, Scott Jensen. I'm part of the 18th Street type of situation that's going on over there, following Adam there because he's also a property owner right there. Just the same thing, moving so fast on Lotus is where's these valuations coming from? That affects us that's around there. So I just want to leave it short-handed on that, but then I also want to add to there's something going on that's a little fishy. Coincidence, maybe, maybe not, because ever since the master plan was looking like it was going to be approved for the change, we have had not harassment, but pretty close to that on our business that's there, because we are the last ones left on that section that Lotus wants to trade. And we've been hit with false violations. Our business license was changed without our knowledge. I went to the business license department and I says, hey, this has been changed without our knowledge. Please change it back. They said, well, we're gonna have to do research. I'm like, what research is there? We've been in business there over 25 years. Nothing's changed. And they go, well, what's different? It's like, this is different. And this is what your code enforcement people are telling us we got to get rid of pretty much everything that has to do with our business. And I asked them, it's like, okay, where's the history of our business license? Oh, well, we only go back to 2019. We don't have anything else. So you're the city. How come we don't have this history? She goes, well, what do you have? I have the entire history. I'll be right back. I come back with, I don't know, I just grabbed some quick ones, 18 years of history. I says, look at the layout. We should not be in violation of anything. Please change it back to how it used to be. And she goes, well, I'm gonna have to do some more research. It's like, okay, how long will that take? Oh, a couple days. I've called, left messages. I have not heard anything back. Well, no, that's wrong. I've heard she left one message saying we need more information. So I left several messages, called several times, and still haven't heard anything to this day. So back to that coincidence thing, is the city helping the developer push us out? So I would highly recommend taking a look at this, because in the past, we've tried making some deals with the city on our location. Some of those people no longer work for Ogden City. We've had bad blood with them when we were the ones trying to make the right, trying to help improve the city and move on. And even your developers, we've had some deals. They're the ones who backed out. And now, after COVID, you see how our inflation has gone on property value, everything else. Now, even if we wanted to move, we can't. I've spent the last 3 years looking for property and have not found anything to replace it.
Thanks,
Thank
Scott.
you.
Can you, what's the name of your business?
Oh, yeah,
Creative
that's what I was
welding.
gonna ask too, thank
What's
you.
that? Oh,
Creative welding.
creative dwelling?
Welding.
Oh, welding, sorry.
Yeah.
Fabrication,
We're,
yeah.
we're, yeah, we're
On the
a
southwest
repair
corner.
facility.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right, we have a hand online. Let's go ahead and go to our online. Teresa?
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to speak today. This is Teresa Bramwell. I have some concerns with many of the things I've observed and heard today. I tried to do some research on these properties along the river when they were going to be on the council meeting a couple of months ago. And I went down to the county and, you know, tried to research who the owners were and tried to research the history of the property. And I didn't see anything that was owned by a company called Lotus. So I don't know who those people are or how they fit into this equation. The company that I found that did own the properties along the river between Grant and Wall hadn't paid property taxes. They haven't paid their LLC dues to the state, and they seem to be defunct. So I don't know who those people are either. But I do know that they purchased that property from Ogden City in 2014 for a very low price. No price even close to $2.6 or $2.8 million, which is the figure that I heard today. So what I would like to know is the history of this Lotus property, how Lotus acquired it, who they acquired it from, what the price was they acquired it for, because I want to know exactly how much it's appreciated in the exact amount of years that they've owned it. The other concern I have with them trading it for the property on Wall is that they're going to be building apartments and not housing that's for sale. The other thing that I heard today about the Fenway property was that that was supposed to be property for sale, but then the developer got up and said, no, he's just renting all of it and he intends to keep it in his daughter's name. So that also is not going to be property for sale. But I think if Ogden City has any say in it, they need to make sure that what is being built, especially by Lotus, is property that is going to be for sale, so that you can have some people, young people, that can purchase real estate and invest in their community. The other thing about the county building housing for homeless people, I'm opposed to that. And I would like to know who the developer is that's doing that, because they probably have some sort of a land agreement or land swap that they're building this low-income housing in Ogden so they can build high-income housing somewhere else in Weber County that's not in Ogden. So if Ogden City gets a say in that, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other public comments? Okay. So I just looking at the questions that were asked, it seems like majority are related or administrative questions or questions to the administration on the valuations, the timing, maybe some of the histories there, plans for the dinosaur park. And so, Mayor, I don't know if you've got some notes there, if you'd like to try and respond to some of those or see how, or if, yeah.
I'll follow up with the dinosaur park, and it's possible we can have them back in to a work session to give an update on that.
Okay. Any answer or any comments on the questions about the timeline? I know we talked about that in the work session a little bit, but with the Lotus property.
Unfortunately, Jared had to leave early, and I don't have any additional information on the timeline, but we'll follow up on that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know necessarily the history between, you know, when things were purchased and the appreciations and all of those aspects. That's just not something I think that, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how we would get that. If that's something that we can pull a report on or what there. I do know that like as far as the UDOT purchase, you know, I don't, again, with the valuation of the Piccadilly building, and you know, those were all things that we know were happening, and that the UDOT properties were very small. They weren't large pieces, but they were little kind of weird triangulated little spots that you know, we're trying to group those all together for the purpose of that development. So I don't know if, Mayor, if you got any comment on that or not, but.
Is there, I was just gonna mention the creative building. I don't know if there's any way we could help facilitate them, you know, getting back in touch with whoever they were working with. I'd be happy to help with that if I can.
Yeah, I hadn't heard any of that, so yeah, hopefully we can get the right people in line on that. So that's that other piece there, or that other property piece. So again, yeah, other than, you know, we had, if you had a chance to review the work session, you know, we had these conversations about some of these same questions, concerns about the timeline and moving through things. But I think there was, Jared had mentioned there was some discussion about these discussions have been happening for some time now.
20 years, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the original development agreement started 2022 on this, and so the vision of that was, I think part of your property was going to be part of a park, right? That was the original kind of idea there, and so I mean, there's a lot of history for sure, and you know, Lotus has been working on their property and what they've been wanting to do, and they've got some funding that could be expiring, and so that's part of I think the reason that the administration shared with us as to why we're sort of up against the clock on this as well. So so we're trying to take that all into consideration as we review all of the information here before a decision is made on that. And I think what do we say, that was coming back to us next week, right? So we've got a lot of stuff still to settle and understand on that, including some changes that were recommended by the legal staff from Lotus as well as Ogden City that our council staff hasn't received yet. So we're hoping that gets in time for our staff to be able to review all of that, so that next week we can, you know, have all the information. So.
Well, and I just looked up the information, so I can reach out to you, Scott, to follow up online.
Thank you, Councilmember Chiburka, on that. Okay. Comments from administration?
No comments.
Nothing
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and from council members?
I would just like to bring to the city's attention that on December 3rd, Light the World campaign will do a kickoff for the giving machines in the Ogden Amphitheater. And that's through the Communication Council for Northern Utah. And I have the privilege of serving on that committee. Nolan Karras is kind of directing an event that night. It starts at 5:30. It's exactly when our city council will be busy here. But I'm just excited about that. It will be the first time that we've had giving machines in Ogden City. So I want to say thanks to the city for making that accommodation. They'll be here from the 3rd until approximately the 14th. And then we're sharing those. And they'll be going to another city. But it's just delightful to have those. We saw some in Portland last year at Christmas time, visiting my daughter, and it was amazing to watch the people who came and participated in that. The recipients are many of our local nonprofit organizations. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Chair, I have a couple comments if you don't
Yes.
mind. Well, and I thank you for that too, Sean, because I really love those machines too. I just want to make comments. Thanks so much to Vice Chair Waite for thanking me for running, but I just want to make a few comments about the recent election for House District 9, which covers a small part of Ogden, part of Roy, and then a huge part of West Haven. So when I called to congratulate my opponent, Jake Sawyer, who's a really nice person, honestly, when we were doing debates, we agreed on so much more than we disagreed on. So we said we were going to be best friends after the race. But he did invite me to be part of his advisory committee, which I really appreciate, that invitation. But also, I just wanted to note that now that he's going to be my representative in the legislature, and also, thinking about serving Ogden City, there's some items that I think that I just wanted to mention that I really want to hold him accountable for, that he promised in the campaign. And these are things that I found were important that also the constituents were interested in too. So one was, there's actually a really large gap in public safety retirement benefits from some policies that were passed for the people that joined in 2012 all the way through 2018. So we both made a commitment in a debate that we would open a bill file immediately once we were elected to address that issue, which isn't going to be a challenge until those people go to retire. But it is a huge issue and it's a very large cost. So I hope that that will be resolved at the state level and not passed on to all the municipalities. But and also, there's some other issues with public safety. Like recently, we had an unfunded mandate to address some mental health needs, which I certainly support. But I think it's kind of challenging sometimes when the state legislature passes those costs on to the city, and then they also say they decrease taxes. But then at the local level, of course, we have to do something to address those. So that's an important issue. Also, he said that he was committed to supporting public school. For example, he said that he supported the voucher system that's been put in place, but he'd like to create some more ways of measuring outcomes for those. So I think that's really important also because there's money coming directly from our public school coffers to individuals in the community based on an application process. And so that's taking more money out of the public schools that we need to replace. And then also one really great idea, which I think we all agree with too, is that the current home loan program that they've done for first-time home buyers doesn't include people to renovate their homes. It's only new homes. So he said he also committed to working on that at the state level too. So excited to be part of the advisory committee. And like I said, I think it's all of our jobs to make sure that he's held accountable to follow through with those things that are really important to us.
Thank you. All right. Okay, I would just say thank you for everyone who came. We appreciate the conversation. I know that sometimes we don't always get to the answer immediately. I also recognize this isn't a great public forum for robust discussion. We just have a 3-minute and then try and answer. But we are all available. I mean, we all have full-time jobs, but we are available for other opportunities if we can chat and talk about issues that are important to you. I personally, and I believe all the council members appreciate that individual reaching out and trying to understand what those concerns are. I think every one of us would say we don't want small businesses to feel like they're getting squoze out or being targeted. And so if there's ways that we can work and help to maybe clean up some misunderstandings or whatever it happens to be, I think we're all willing to be part of that discussion. So again, thank you for being here. And with that, we'll adjourn from the special city council meeting and then just take a couple minutes to reset for the redevelopment agency. So I will take a motion to adjourn the special city council meeting.
Motion to adjourn the city council meeting.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Graff and a second by Vice Chair White to adjourn the special city council meeting. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I think that's any opposed. Okay. Development Agency of November 12th, 2024. All board members are present, including a board member Hire, who is joining us remote or over the phone. We first up on the agenda, we have approval of minutes. Special meeting of October 1st, 2024. Board member Hire.
Yes, I've read those minutes and they appear to be correct.
Thank you. And for the closed session of October 1st, special meeting of October 15th, and closed session of October 15th, Board Member Blair.
Yes, thank you, Chair Ritchie. I have reviewed those minutes and found them to be accurate, and I would make a motion that we approve the minutes listed.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Board Member Blair and a second by Board Member Chiburka to approve the minutes. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, very good. That's unanimous. And now we'll take a motion to adjourn into closed session.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn into closed session.
Second.
All right, a motion by Board Member Myers and a second by Board Member Blair to adjourn into the closed session pursuant to one of the provisions listed below. This is a roll call vote.
Board Member Blair?
Aye.
Board Member Chiburka?
Aye.
Board Member Graff?
Aye.
Board Member Heyer?
Aye.
Board Member Myers?
Aye.
Vice Chair White?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Chair Ritchie?
Aye. Okay, that passes. That we will adjourn from the closed session within that closed session and adjourn from the board meeting from within that meeting. So this is the last you'll see us tonight. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next week.